Have you ever wondered what it's like to live in a place where practicing your faith could get you arrested, tortured, or even executed? In today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into some of the most dangerous countries for Christians. These are places where simply being Christian can put your life at risk. The stories you're about to hear are both shocking and heartbreaking, but they need to be told. But before we jump in, I need your help. If you find this video insightful, hit that like button and help us reach 50,000 likes. Your support will allow us to continue shedding light on important issues like this. Now, let's get started. North Korea tops the list as the most dangerous country for Christians. This nation is notorious for its extreme suppression of any religious beliefs that don't align with the state ideology of Jewish, which promotes the worship of the ruling Kim family. Christianity is seen as a direct threat to the regime, and the consequences for practicing are horrifying. Christians in North Korea face imprisonment, torture, and even execution if discovered. An estimated 50,000 to 70,000 Christians are currently imprisoned in labor camps, often under brutal conditions. These camps are so harsh that many don't survive. Even owning a Bible is considered a treasonous act against the government. Despite this, many underground churches continue to meet in secret, risking their lives for their faith. North Korea's extreme measures make it one of the most hostile places on earth for Christians. Next on the list is Eritrea, a small nation in the Horn of Africa where the government only recognizes a few religious groups. The country's severe restrictions on religious freedom have made life unbearable for Christians who do not belong to state-approved denominations. Imagine having to worship in secret, knowing that at any moment the police could storm in and arrest you. Unregistered churches are considered illegal, and those who practice outside of government-approved faiths are detained in appalling conditions. Many are kept in metal shipping containers under the scorching desert sun or in underground prisons where they are subject to torture. These prisoners often have no access to legal representation and are held without trial for years. The government's iron grip on religion makes Eritrea a dangerous place for Christians who want to practice their faith freely. Number 3, Pakistan. In Pakistan, Christians face both legal and societal persecution. The country's notorious blasphemy laws are a major concern, as they are often used to target religious minorities, including Christians. Under these laws, anyone accused of insulting Islam or the Prophet Muhammad can face the death penalty. Unfortunately, these laws are frequently exploited to settle personal vendettas. Christians in Pakistan live in constant fear of false blasphemy accusations, which can result in violent mob attacks, imprisonment, or worse. Many Christian neighborhoods have been torched by mobs after rumors of blasphemy surfaced. Beyond legal challenges, Christians face daily discrimination in education, employment, and social life. Despite these hardships, Pakistan's Christian community remains resilient, continuing to practice their faith even in the face of intense opposition. Number 4, Afghanistan. Converting to Christianity in Afghanistan is punishable by death. Under the Taliban's strict interpretation of Sharia law, leaving Islam is considered apostasy, and the punishment is often execution. Publicly practicing Christianity in Afghanistan is simply not an option. Those who do risk severe repercussions from both the government and society. Since the Taliban regained control in 2021, the situation has worsened. Christians must meet in complete secrecy, fearing not only government authorities, but also their neighbors who might report them. Many Afghan Christians have fled the country or live in constant fear, knowing the discovery could mean death. The Taliban's grip on the country ensures that any form of Christian worship remains underground and highly dangerous. Number 5. Maldives. You might think of the Maldives as a tropical paradise, but for Christians, it's a different story. Islam is the state religion, and conversion to Christianity is strictly forbidden. Public worship of Christianity is illegal, and Christian materials, such as Bibles, are banned from being imported into the country. Even possessing religious items can lead to punishment. For locals, converting to Christianity can result in imprisonment or social ostracism. The Maldives government keeps a close watch on anyone suspected of converting from Islam, and there's virtually no room for religious freedom. While tourists enjoy the sunny beaches, Christians living in the Maldives must practice their faith in secrecy to avoid persecution. Number 6. Somalia. Somalia is another country where Christianity is seen as a direct threat to Islam, particularly by extremist groups like Al-Shabaab. This militant group controls large parts of the country and has made it clear that practicing Christianity is punishable by death. The Christians face harassment, violence, and in some cases, public execution. Without a stable government to protect religious minorities, Somali Christians are constantly at risk. Most must practice their faith in secret, and any form of religious gathering is done with extreme caution. Al-Shabaab actively hunts down those suspected of being Christians, and the lack of government oversight only worsens the situation. Somalia is one of the most dangerous places for Christians in the world. Yemen has been ravaged by civil war, and amid this conflict, Christians have become even more vulnerable. Conversion from Islam to Christianity is punishable by death, and Christian converts are often seen as traitors to their families and communities. The war-torn country's lawlessness makes it difficult for Christians to worship freely. In areas controlled by Islamic extremist groups, Christians face the constant threat of violence and death. Many must hide their faith, even from their own family members, for fear of being reported. The ongoing conflict in Yemen has made life increasingly difficult for Christians, and without stability, religious persecution continues to rise. Number 8. Sudan. Sudan's turbulent history has made it a hostile environment for Christians, especially those who have converted from Islam. Even though the country has made some steps toward peace, Sharia law still influences the legal system. Christians, particularly converts, face significant risks, including arrest, torture, and death. Many churches have been shut down and properties have been confiscated by the government. Christians are often marginalized, and practicing the faith openly remains dangerous. While Sudan is trying to emerge from decades of conflict, religious persecution continues to be a major issue, with Christian communities facing ongoing threats. Number 9. India, a country with a long history of religious diversity, has seen an alarming increase in anti-Christian sentiment. Hindu nationalist groups view Christianity as a foreign religion, and this has led to a surge in violence against Christians. Churches are regularly attacked, and Christians are often accused of forced conversions. Several Indian states have passed anti-conversion laws, making it difficult for Christians to share their faith. These laws have fueled discrimination and violence against Christian communities. While India's constitution guarantees religious freedom, the reality for many Christians is one of fear and repression. Number 10. China. In China, the government strictly controls all religious activities. Christianity is permitted, but only under state-sanctioned organizations. Churches that operate outside of these organizations, known as house churches, are considered illegal and face frequent raids. Leaders of these independent churches are often arrested, and congregations face intense surveillance. The government uses technology to monitor religious activities, making it difficult for Christians to gather without fear of reprisal. Despite these challenges, Christianity continues to grow in China, with millions worshiping in secret. Number 11. Libya, a country in the grip of instability since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, has become increasingly dangerous for Christians. With no stable central government, Islamic extremist groups have risen to power in many parts of the country, and they see Christianity as a threat. Christians, especially those from immigrant communities, face constant danger from these groups. Kidnappings, forced conversions, and even executions have become alarmingly common. Many churches have been attacked, and Christian gatherings are often conducted in extreme secrecy. The lawlessness in Libya has made it one of the most perilous countries for Christians. Those who stay must constantly live in fear of discovery, as there's little to no protection from the authorities. The collapse of the government and the rise of militant factions have created a hostile environment where Christians can barely survive. Nigeria presents a complex and dangerous environment for Christians, especially in the northern part of the country, where Sharia law is enforced in several states. Christians living in the north face persecution from both government policies and violent extremist groups like Boko Haram and the Islamic State's West Africa province. These groups regularly target Christian communities, leading to the destruction of churches and mass killings. Blasphemy laws in the north are frequently used to oppress Christians, with many falsely accused and subjected to violent retribution. Meanwhile, the southern part of Nigeria enjoys more religious freedom, highlighting the stark contrast between the two regions. Despite the extreme danger in the north, Christians in Nigeria remain resilient, practicing their faith in the face of adversity. However, the deep religious divide and ongoing violence make Nigeria one of the most dangerous places for Christians in Africa. Number 13. Iran. Christianity is tolerated in Iran to a limited extent, primarily among historical Armenian and Assyrian communities. However, conversion from Islam to Christianity is considered apostasy, which is punishable by death under Islamic law. Christians in Iran face heavy restrictions on their religious practices, with constant surveillance by the government. Many Iranian Christians are forced to worship in underground churches to avoid being arrested. The Iranian authorities often raid these churches, arresting members and subjecting them to harsh interrogations and imprisonment. Christians are also prohibited from proselytizing or sharing their faith with Muslims, and doing so can result in severe punishment. The situation in Iran is especially dire for converts, as they are seen as betrayers of Islam, making life exceedingly dangerous for anyone who decides to follow Christianity. Last country. Mali. Christianity has been severely persecuted in Mali, a country that was formerly renowned for its religious tolerance. Since 2012, when Islamist groups began seizing control of northern regions, the situation for Christians has deteriorated significantly. Extremist factions like Al-Qaeda and the Islamic Maghreb and affiliated groups have targeted Christian communities, forcing many to flee or convert to Islam. In areas under jihadist control, churches have been destroyed, and Christians are often subjected to violence, abduction, or forced conversion. The Malian government, while battling these extremist groups, struggles to provide protection to religious minorities in the affected regions. As these militant groups continue to gain ground, Christians in Mali live under the constant threat of persecution, with little hope for peace in the near future. Millions of Christians worldwide face severe persecution simply for their faith. From North Korea to Mali, these countries highlight the dangers faced by believers who risk imprisonment or death to practice their religion. While this list isn't exhaustive, it emphasizes the urgent need for awareness and support for those suffering religious oppression. If this video has shed light on these critical issues, please like and subscribe to help us reach 50,000 likes and stay informed about global events. Thank you for watching.